Hi and welcome to the channel and welcome to a new video. Now, if you're not a subscriber, please do me a favour and press the subscribe button and get to know all the latest videos. Right, so what's this video about, or this vlog, or whatever you want to call it? Now, there's a lot of YouTubers out there at the moment using what I would say clickbait. You know, I'm giving up caravanning, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, we're all going bust, the world is nigh. Now yes, I've reported on dealers that have gone into liquidation, and I'm trying to sort of marry up the industry of how this is nothing new. Sure, we don't want it to happen, and we want it to happen less these days because there's hardly any manufacturers left. So, I'm going to have a quick talk about that, and also I'm going to talk about Swift and their motorhomes. Seemingly the Swift Besicas, which have not made now for a couple of years. That was on the One show on BBC One last night, and it was about things about people who have their holidays ruined. But I'll go on to that in a minute. Right. So we've got all these people giving us woe and tales and how they all know about what's happening in the industry. Well, to be quite honest, look, without being a bit of a big head here, the industry has been going like that for many, many years. Before a lot of these people who came on the YouTube scene even took interest or even around at the time. Now, what I'm trying to say is here is the mid-70s caused a big problem, but also, if you remember some of the vlogs I've talked about before, the late 70s, early 80s were particularly bad times. And what I've done is I've pulled out this issue of March 1982 Glasses Guide. Now, I was just reading this because what it tells you is the current trends, so it's always very, very useful just to back up anything you're not sure about. And what it was basically saying was there was gloom and brightness. Basically saying that they'd lost 14 manufacturers, and that was true. Some of those manufacturers were small manufacturers. Dealers had gone. We'd lost Gailey Group, I think, about by that time. They had 15 dealerships around the UK. That went. Now look, what I'm trying to say here is, if without the old social media, and yes, I'm using it, a lot of these sensational tales we've been hearing about Broad Lane and people like White Arches would never quite have got the publicity that they have done. As I've said to you before, people relied on the magazines, and it's still something you should always look at. It's the magazines, black and white, I always think. But anyway, this is what Glasses Guide was saying. They were saying that there was a surplus of stock. There was going to be some heavy there was already heavy discounting. There was some stock left over from the year before. So in 82, there was obviously 81 stock around, and in some cases 1980 stock about. Now, because they've been discounting the those 80s, 81s, there won't be a lot of 80s left, but there was still some out there. It made the 82s look quite expensive. Therefore, the new old models, as you want to call them, were actually selling quite well because people were getting a bargain. For those people who could afford a new Caravan. But they were saying also that there was a lot more problems to come. We're talking 42 years ago. And actually the big problem came some months after this, when, and I've talked about this before, and I've got a book about it, story of CI Group on Amberley Publishing. Contact them direct or go on to Amazon and buy it. Not a lot of copies left, but CI went into liquidation in 1982. That was a major blow to the industry. Now, if that had happened now, on social media, it would have been absolute, oh, see how it's gone, but what's my caravan worth, what's going to happen, where am I going to get a pot? It would have been absolutely detrimental to the industry as a whole, as it was with CI going into liquidation, because I say they've been the biggest manufacturer of motorhomes, holiday homes, mobile homes, and of course tourers, and also camper vans. And all of a sudden that company went crash. It had factories abroad. It was an astronomical company. It made your Heimer look like a non-starter really, and your Triganos. That's how big CI were. But it went crash, and it brought a few deals down with it. And strangely enough, some of the smaller manufacturers thought, oh, there'll be a gap there in the market, we'll produce more caravans. Not a good idea, because what happened was, because sales were at a slump, the smaller manufacturers thought they would mop up the CI sales side of things, but it never happened. So some of the smaller manufacturers are then left with stock, and it dragged some down. Of course, stocking plans have been around for a long time, and it's nothing new. Yes, there was dealers out there back in the day that would add an extra 50-60 quid on the price of a caravan when times were good. It wasn't unheard of. Caravan prices went up. Used caravan prices were actually going up quite astronomically at one stage, especially in the 70s. I'll give you one example. My first caravan was bought in 1985. It was a 1976 Ace Diplomat 2-berth and kitchen, as they were then. Now I bought that private. It came with an awning and various bits and pieces. And that was the guy wanted £1,000. Well, I knocked him down eventually to 900. But when I've been looking on the forecourts, that same van was costing the same as it was new in 1976 as it was in 1985. So basically the caravan had gone down in value and then come back up again. So in the 70s vans you were paying on the popular vans basically what they were new and a bit more. And when I came to sell my ABI Marauder in 1990, that caravan cost me £3,700. It brand new in 1987 with various bits and pieces put on it. And I came to sell it and bought an Eldis Wisp, a new brand new 1991 one, which was about 6-7. I got £4,000 for the Marauder, and it was 4 years old. So all this, what we're going through now, is nothing new, and there'll be a lot of people on YouTube absolutely making a killing out of it. They're getting all the views, and that's great, you know, if that's how they do it. But consequently, yes, you know, I've reported on Broad Lane, and yes, I got the views on that. It seems people do like bad news, but some people are really urging on about this and telling us how bad things are and how things could get worse. A guy on there, I don't know what, I can't remember his name now. Again, sorry, it's one of those. He's got about 70,000 views, and he's only been on a day or two. And I forgot what he calls himself, but he's on about the motor, about how it's going to go bust and how deals are going bust. But the thing is, we had the COVID, as we know, and that caused that big, massive spike in sales. Now, that's happened before, not the COVID, but it's happened before in caravan motorhome sales, where there's been a big spike because of some reason that holiday has taken a big rise in popularity. But what happens when it's there? It's like anything, it has to come back down. You hope it comes down like that, but after COVID it went down like that. So sales were basically stuffed. People were bringing the vans back in. Dealers at a particular time were quite happy to have those caravans back because they would still be able to sell them. But in 2022 that was slowing down, I spoke to several dealers. I said, what's going to happen? Oh, but we've picked up a lot of new people. I said, yes, that might be the case, but the majority of those new people will not stay, and it was not enough to keep the industry vibrant. Of course, we had the cost of living thing. So really, it was a final nail in the coffin. We had the COVID with the spike, afterwards it dived, and then we had the energy crisis. So from there, it just went further down. It should have levelled off had that not occurred. And dealers wouldn't be the problems that we're having today. There wouldn't be the big discounting. Manufacturers could have slowly started to put the brakes on, but instead they were still trying to fulfill orders that really weren't there anymore because people didn't want them. So we got overproducing. We got everybody. How many different converters that came out of the woodwork over the last few years was untrue. There was quite a few guys local to me that started up and they were doing all right, but that's when the market was absolutely at its peak, and it was just a glitch. It was never going to stop like that. Now some of these guys knew that, and they knew that let's make a few quid while we can, selling you and me a camper van that was far more than what it was actually worth. And people making their own conversions and then selling it on for an astronomical amount. And now those vans are, I wouldn't say are worthless, but they're not worth anywhere near what they paid. Too many converters, not enough buyers. What's going to happen? A lot of the smaller ones will go. Some of the smaller ones won't even know it even came and they even went. But some of the bigger ones will have to cut back, and it may take some of the big ones with it. Like any decrease in any product, whatever it is, someone has to, there's got to be some give. How the market's going to go, we don't know, but it needs to be from there to start to level out a bit and then start to creep back up again. That's what needs to be happening. So the stocking plans, yes, people have ordered too much stock or they've been committed to stock, and of course the slowdowns come. It's nothing new. This has been happening a long time. And as I say, Glasses Guide, they were telling us then in '82 that things were not good. And I remember that because I actually experienced all this. I was at the dealers at the time. And this is what makes me experience what I do. I was at the dealers. I was doing all this type of thing when nobody else was even thinking about it. Only the magazine people, and with some good, well-respected journalists as well in those days, that were very, very good and very thorough, and I really admired. But things have moved on. Social media's come in, and YouTube, and anybody can pick up a camera, and we can spout that as much as we want. Some people will be taken in by it, others will say, do you know what, the guy's a fake, he's no experience, he's no background, what does he know? He's just saying what he's just said down the road. And that's what I think is happening now. I hope you don't think I'm being really bad for saying that, but it's definitely what it is. All my years of experience, I've seen this happen. It's not great when manufacturers go, not great at all, but we lost some big, long established manufacturers. But nobody flooded the magazines with letters saying, oh, I've just heard so-and-so's compost, I've just heard what's this, that. You might get the odd one saying, well, what's my caravan worth now, my CI Ettles, because the company's gone bust, or we'll get parts and all this, that and the other. Usually the answer was always, yes, you will get parts, and some of the old CI dealers did stick with the CI brand when CI relaunched itself again for 1983. Later on, after the initial bust, went bust in December 82, big management buyout, saved Ettles, Sprite, Europa. Those names would have gone if it hadn't been for them. Now, that is how it stands. So I'm not after clickbait. Yes, I want as many views as the next man on YouTube, you know, but I'd like to think mine are genuine YouTube views that people want to know what's actually happening, not what I'm copying off him down the road or whatever, or what I think's happening because I've watched something or I've talked to somebody. And going back now the years, I've been doing this, and it's a long time, and as I say, I've seen a lot of this happening, and it's just history repeating itself. The problem, as I've said before, we haven't got the manufacturers to lose, and we haven't got the dealers to lose. A lot of dealers have long gone. Right, that's that little piece over. My next thing, did anybody see the BBC One show? Now, I got alerted by a convert about this, and he said, did you see that? He messaged me, and I said, no, I hadn't, but I'd watch it, so I caught it up on iPlayer, and it was about Swift, and the basically the sunroof coming out above the cab, and it had this lady on there. She'd got this dream motorhome, Bessica, which is caused by Swift, and she was driving along and it came off, and then it sucked everything up, and she was traumatised and all this and that. Now, it would not be a nice experience, let's face it, it wouldn't be. Then they interviewed another guy. Oh yes, yes, the same had happened to him, but he just said, I got on the site and I noticed it had gone. He didn't even notice it had gone until he got on the site. But then they were saying, well, Swift should be held to account. Now, Swift had sorted this out, and any that came back, they actually sorted and fixed. Now, no, we shouldn't have anything coming off and popping off roofs and everything, but how many high-key roof vents did you see at the side of the road when the big high-key roof vents came out? Because people didn't put them down proper. There wasn't a fault with them, but people didn't put them down proper or left them open. I was guilty of that once on a Lunar test van, and I forgot to put it down. We'd been taking photographs, it'd been very hot, and I drove off, had to get it back to the factory, and it went. A bit red-faced I was on that day, I tell you. But anyway, so I thought it was very, very unfair to Swift, actually. It showed shots of the Caravans, and I thought, well, hang on, why are you showing shots of the Caravans for? It's the motorhome that's got you rate that's got the problem. They were saying, oh, Swift acts swiftly and all this coswallop. I think Swift had done all right. You've got to watch it, catch it on BBC iPlayer, see what you think. But you know, and I think they made a comment of 58,000 of these. Well, that's a lot of cobblers. I don't think Swift have made 58,000 motorhomes since it started in 1985, 83. So you know, these things just get blown out of proportion. Again, the media can report wrongly. So what did I think of that little show? Well, I think there may have been odd ones that might have come away for some reason, and I think Swift had investigated that. They're not a company now that's going to sit back, because they know darn well that people will be onto them as soon as the problem. And let's face it, as one dealer said to me once, do you know what he said, Andy? He said, I worked in the car trade for years, and he said, we got the customer who was a bit difficult and you couldn't please him. But he said, I'll tell you something, selling a caravan to a caravaner or whatever, and not a new caravaner, he says it can be a nightmare. People come back for the slightest bit of a thing. I can well believe that. One guy I knew, he'll remain nameless, he throws himself around quite a lot, and he'd had a van, and he went, well, he was crying about it, and he started doing it on social media. The company didn't know, again, I will not say who it was. I informed that this was happening. They didn't know. As soon as they got onto it, they were not happy. This guy was basically, what he hadn't said was he'd got a few problems with his van. I think he'd got a slight sagging roof on it, which was fixed. But what he did, he was slating them. But what he didn't mention was all the added little bits he got thrown in, especially for him. That really, really annoys me. So, rant over. Swift, I think, was unfair how the BBC potted at Swift, to be honest. I think that shouldn't have been allowed. I thought it was poor reporting. Almost like a bit of a gap filler, really, I thought, on the programme. That they'd obviously pulled out a couple of complaints and on this and thought, yeah, this would make a good little feature. The Dealers going bust. Yes, there will be some dealers go bust, we know that, but not everybody's going to go bust. Not every manufacturer's going to go bust. Yes, we've said that about the camper van conversions because there's a lot of people at it. And a lot of those people have gone now. They're finished. That's why I always say to people, if you're going to buy a conversion, a camper van, go for a brand. Don't go for two guys that have been making them down the road for a couple of years. Go for a proper brand, something like Wellhouse Leisure, Leisure Drive, or Sleeper, because they've got all the rules and regulations, and you've got far more compact, and of course you've got value in the van. If you haven't got a proprietary made camper van and anything happens to it, a lot of insurance will just give you the price of a Ford Transit, not the fact that you spent maybe 2-3 grand, or somebody spent 2-3 grand kitting it out and it's not official brand. But if it was an Auto Sleeper, Warwick or something like that, then you'll get you've got more chance of getting your insurance sorted out proper. So that's my gripe. So everybody out there who are going on a really sort of preach, oh, this is that, this is that. I've not used my Caravan for 4 years. I've not given it up. I've given it up for 4 years, but I've not given it up yet. I mean, it may have to go, I don't know. But I'm not going to go on about it. It's sat there in the garage, it's doing no harm. The idea is to get it pulled out, get it cleaned up, but other things are on the go. At the moment I can't simply do it. But I'm not going to make a sensational YouTube out of it and say, you know, Andy gives up Caravan, why I'm going to go, well, I can't afford it. No, at the moment, even without other things influencing it, financially I can't really afford it at all. Like I said before, so you know, I'm out of the frame at the moment, and I certainly can't afford a brand new Caravan at all, even if I wanted one. So again, those days of being able to chop and change around a little bit and only pay 3 or 4 grand out for your next new van are long gone, and I can't see them return anytime soon. So covered all that. Heavy discounting will be going on motorhomes and camper vans since today. I've been down at Marquis, didn't take a video camera with me, but I'm hoping next day or two to get down. I'm going to take my granddaughter. Took her in her first motorhome today. She's only 2, she loved it. We looked at a camp, she loved which was a Wellhouse actually, it was a pre-owned Wellhouse camper van, and she loved that. She got in there and she went straight to the driver's seat and pretended to drive it, and she loved the fact, checking out the cupboards. And now she sees a Caravan, she goes, if I say to her, where's a Cara, she points and she knows what a Cara is, a Caravan. So I'm quite pleased I've brainwashed the kid. More brainwashing to go. But anyway, hope you keep liking, hope you keep subscribing, and please give us your comments. If I'm talking rubbish, please tell me. I don't think I am. As I say, I've been in this game a long time, so I do know what's happening. And on another footnote, the Glasses Guide for caravans and well, for motorhomes is later on. In the early days, it was caravans and static caravans only. It's coming to an end, which I think is really sad. That's one of those things, isn't it? Changes are happening. We all know change has to come, but at the end of it, not all changes for the better. Anyway, I'll love you and leave you. And as I say, please give us your comments, and please keep watching the channel, please keep subscribing. I enjoy doing my vlogs. I get a bit carried away, but that's my passion, just coming out of this industry and for following it as long as I have, and all the experience and all the times I've experienced the ups and downs, the highs and the lows. I've experienced it all, and I know what's happening. It's, you know, I've not been doing this for 5 or 6 years or 10 years and think I know it all, because you don't. It's as simple as that, and I'm still learning. Right, get off your pedestal and get on with the next video. I'll see you on the next one, and please keep watching, of course.